What's up guys, my name is Sean and this is Revenant Prime. He's an absolute must-have frame, and here I'm going to take you through a zero Forma build to absolute max investment, and let's see if I was able to achieve the absolute best build to have on Revenant here. Before we get into the build, let me quickly explain how Revenant works and why he's so must-have for people. Solar's one is kind of fun, it's not too special. With Enthrall here, if I cast this on targets here, they'll start fighting each other, and if a target dies or attacks another target, it will convert another target to the enthralled effect. You can see this above their heads. His one also has an augment called Thrall Pact. This will cap out at 7 enthralled targets, and this will scale up your primary weapon damage affected on how much strength you have on Revenant here. Here are the numbers, this is some insane damage you can build up to. His 2 is Mesmer Skin. What you do here, you cast this and you have a few stacks. These stacks count as damage and vulnerabilities, and every time you get hit, you'll reduce the stack, but you won't die. Mesmer Shield, the super overpowered augment, should be on all Revenant builds. What it does, you receive a little bit extra invulnerability from every Mesmer Shield cast, but your allies in affinity range will gain invulnerability, which is just absolutely ridiculous. You're of course also benefiting from this yourself. This is Revenant with Mesmer Shield active, and you have about 5 extra Mesmer Skin casts on you. I told you these explanations were going to be quick, just as quick as his 3 is Reave. You weave. This is insane. You weave through targets. It's not a super insane ability. This will scale off a duration, and his augment mod. So the augment mod will blind enemies you weave through, and you can increase his range by about 40%. It's not super ridiculous. How this ability kind of works in an interesting way. When casting your 4, you're going to be able to cast it in between of usages of his 4, and then you can just continue using his 4. So you say it's up, I cast my 3, keep doing my 4, cast my 3. With his 4, his dance, you spin around in a circle, dealing adaptive damage to targets. This is a bunch of words just to say you're going to be dealing the best damage possible to the targets that will kill them the quickest, whatever they're vulnerable to. With max range, you'll see it right here. I'm not doing anything crazy because I'm not even going to be able to hit the last row. Like, look at this. So you know you don't have to put a ton of range on him. You can amplify this, but I'll tell you with the build explanation how that works. So guys, let's take a look at this build. I'll first take you through the beginner build. This will work out with no Forma on it. Just make sure you have, because you can swap polarities, just make sure you have the same polarity as your aura mod, so you have enough capacity. You can go with kind of anything here when it comes to duration, efficiency, range, and strength. I like going with this as a kind of base setup. You could even go without stretch because you don't need a ton of range on this, especially most of these casting mods don't require a ton of range. None of these scale off a range. I'd go with streamline, maybe flow, simple stuff. And then for your augment mods, you can slap both of the good augment mods on here. It's Mesmer Shield and Thrall Pact. This will give you another bit of primary weapon damage, and this will help you being invulnerable for longer and also helping your allies. For the arcanes, you probably won't have max ranked Mortal Augmented and Arcane Energize, so any level of this is great. You could also try other maxed out mods that gives you extra damage, but I'd go with an Arcane Energize or anything that gives you energy here. And also, it doesn't have to be Corrosive Projection. It can be Growing Power. This is the one I usually suggest, but you can do anything here as well. This just as a base. I also put Roar above his 4 here, because your 4 doesn't do tons of damage if you're not going all in. In normal missions or playing with others, if you want to just use them for daily usage, it's not gonna be crazy efficient doing prepping up to your 4 and then spending a ton of energy on maybe having a few kills. So I'd suggest doing Roar, and that will take you through most missions, and you can do anything with this and you're always invulnerable. So when we're getting to the max investment build here, quick note on the side, if you guys like these videos, make sure to subscribe because there's a chance the algorithm will never show you this again. Let's get into the build. What I'm doing here is I put Nourish above his 3. Every build has Nourish, especially this one needs Nourish, because you're expending a ton of energy with his 4, especially if I'm running negative efficiency. Negative efficiency, I'm running this because I don't want to waste a ton of mod slots. and I want to do blind range. I did almost max strength, growing power, blind rage, transient fortitude, and then the intensify mod I chose was precision intensify because we want to boost the damage of the 4. Also multi-augmented for extra strength and arcane energize for extra energy. That's like 2 things we need, strength and energy. That's why also growing power on here, because you'll see this in a second. I'm using prime laser rifle, and that also benefits of growing power, or growing power benefits of the prime laser rifle, because that counts as a primary weapon. We're running Mesmer's shield here to have a little bit more health, a little bit more stacks on my Mesmer skin, and I wouldn't run through all packed on this. If you say, okay, I'm kicking out Art of Secrets, well, that's the only one I could kick out here and put in Thrall Pact, but for how fast we're killing, it makes sense. For how fast we're killing, we want to go for strength, and Thrall Pact isn't going to do a ton. It's just going to kind of hinder us. For the rest of the build, here I just want to use weapons that will kill quickly. So if I want to restore my energy, or if I want to build up my energy at the beginning, because I do not like going with preparation. I don't like putting preparation in my Excellence slot. So just get something that quickly kills something to start the whole 4 spin around. So I'm doing Azar, nothing crazy. Here's the Zar Riven. I'm doing Kuvanukor. You can go with absolutely anything weapon-wise that kills. That's the nice thing about Revenant, because you're always invincible. Just find some cool weapons you like that do damage, and you'll be fine. This is my Zar with the Riven. Also nothing special. You want to run Madurai. You want the extra damage. If you can really run this, if you're copying this build, you won't need extra energy, you'll be fine. But if you're only copying parts of it, you want to maybe run with Zunuric just to have more energy up. The Archon Shards is going to make a big difference. Here's a little interesting thing, how Revenant synergizes here. He's going to synergize a lot with a prime laser rifle. Let's quickly look at Nautilus and what Nautilus will do for us. Through Cordon, what you're doing, you're pulling enemies in, and this is insane and really effective if you're running all the bond mods like Duplex Bond, Contagious Bond, Manifold Bond. I could run even more bonds. I could even run Mystic Bond here. It just kind of depends on what you like, and run Assault Mode. So these 2 are essential. I have Vacuum on everything because I don't want to pick up energy orbs and don't want to pick up mods or anything. But these 2 are kind of essential. And then I actually go Primed Animal Instinct, and I go Primed Regen. You can slap more Forma on this. You could put a link redirect on here. You could put any link mod on here to keep you alive. But the Nautilus doesn't die much. So if you're maxed out on this and you're killing, Nautilus is not gonna die. And then we have the Prime Laser Rifle. This is where it gets interesting, because this is the thing that does a lot of the bonus killing when your 4 is up. So you want to slap a little bit of status on here, and you want to slap critical delay on here. That's the only stuff that matters. I modded this out for viral and for heat, for max damage. And then you can also slap more Forma on this. I'm just not a big fan of using a ton of Forma on everything. So I'm just kind of go with the essential, even when we're doing max investment. So Rifle Elementalist for that status damage, and then just mod it for that. You could do something else than Galvanized Scope. It's not the best out there, but this is just the basis. For my favorite part of every build, the Archon Shards. You know me, casting speed on everything. So casting speed, Tau Forged Yellow Shards essential, especially for the 4. Casting speed shards essential. Everything else for free slot, don't put a 3rd on here, you're fine with 2. You want it to go ability strength, max strength. And these 2 green shards make more sense than more ability strength shards. Because putting your 4 up, you're putting corrosive stacks on targets. A Tau Forged green shard doesn't make a ton of sense, but you're fine with putting a total of 4, so it's 2 per shard, of extra corrosive status on enemies. So this is the base of Archon Shards. There's not much fiddling with it. I just recommend copying this, and you're good to go. So after all this talking about builds, how do we actually play him on our maximum investment? We first use Mesmer's Skin just to not take any damage, and then we just kill a few targets to get some energy. We have a pretty high hurdle of actually activating Nourish, because we're running this much of negative efficiency. So as soon as we get some energy here, you'll see it in a second, we're gonna be casting that Nourish, and then we can, I'm gathering a little bit more, but as soon as we have one Arcane Energize procs with Nourish, as soon as we have that, we can cast our 4 here. So I'm purposely including this clip because it takes me about 45 seconds to get my first 4 up, and then as soon as I get a proc of energy, I can actually spam this, and then it will be self-regenerating. So we have this, and now I can just hold down the 4, and you'll see on the bottom of the screen, with every Arcane Energize proc, I'm just filling this up all the way. You want to hold the trigger, if you're on PC, you want to press the button where you shoot your weapon. You want to hold that while doing, you'll expend more energy, but you're also dealing way more damage. And you see here, I'm not totally grouped in enemies, I almost ran out. Arcane Energize luckily procced here, but whenever you run out of energy, because you're maybe holding the trigger for too long, or you don't have enough energy density, enemy density around you, especially when you're playing with other people, I really suggest just you having Nourish up, farming a little bit of energy, and then you can root right back into it. Because that's kind of how it's going to be, especially if you play with other people, and they're just nuke frames that don't prioritize you getting a ton of energy. It's going to be like this. You have to get out of your 4 to cast Mesmer Skin, but you can cast Nourish anytime you're still in your 4, so that's pretty cool. Even the beginner build here with Roar above his 4, you can use this at any level. Like, you can even use this, scale this up to max investment, and you'll be good to go. You want to have Roar up first, and then Mesmer Skin with Mesmer Shield on it, and then we have just killing stuff. You'll be invulnerable. If your weapons are strong enough, you can do anything. But this is a really cool build, because the 3 gives you movement. You could even put the Augment mod for his 3 on here, and you'll be cruising with all 3 Augment mods. You're getting a ton of weapon damage, especially if you have a ton of strength on here. Ton of weapon damage by Enthrall. You just enthrall a few targets, and then you kill stuff with your weapons, which will be doing massive damage. And you can take this to absolutely any game mode. That's kind of what I like about certain frames. I'm also a big Octavian Nova player, just because they're super versatile. You can use them for absolutely everything, and you'll be good to go. From my perspective, Revenant is one of the top 5 most popular frames, and I have a few hot takes with him. I think he can be kind of a lazy frame, especially if you max him out for his 4, or you even play him as a, okay, I'll use him for all the missions and I'll always have his 2 active and I'll never take damage. You're kind of, well, he'll be like a Swiss Army knife for missions, but it's also a little bit boring. With his augments, I feel like they could have gave him a cool augment for his 4, and maybe even just change the style of his 4 a little bit. That'd be kind of interesting. Because the rest of his kit, his 1, 2, and 3 are kind of combined within each other, that kind of all work in one big synergy, and then we just have a spin around and circle disco ball 4, which is just a little bit ridiculous. So I played Revenant for about 4 days straight, trying to figure out this max investment build, trying to figure out all the nuances and what to do with him. And then I looked at some other content creators and figured out, oh, Nautilus Prime is really good for just pulling enemies in, so that's going to be the big thing about this build. For everybody still watching, you guys are absolute legends. Make sure to watch this Garuda Prime video. It's absolutely amazing. I made a very satisfying endgame Garuda Prime build. Check it out. It's going to be tons of fun. You'll have to try it out for yourselves. Tried myself out here with a video about half as long as I usually make them. If you guys like this style, do let me know in the comments. Also, let me know in the comments how you build your Revenant Prime. I'm always interested in nuanced takes in different builds, so do let me know. And thanks so much for watching, guys. See each other in the next video.